What's going on, guys? I'm just outside of Page, Arizona, and we're photographing a couple really classic locations, Antelope Canyon-ish and Horseshoe Bend. So I kind of want to talk about photographing classic destinations and trying to be unique. Before we get into it, today's video is sponsored by Squarespace. If you're looking for a place to host your photography website, blog, whatever, head to squarespace.com/Brendan Vanson. You'll get 10% off. Now, yeah, let's head to the canyon. A little bit busier than it was 2 years ago when I was here. There was no cars in the parking lot and no office here. We were the only ones. Now it's just group after group getting churned through the canyons. And hopefully we can still make it work.
At the end of 2018, Lower Antelope Canyon stopped their photography tours. This January, basically everyone else did as well. But where there's loss, there's gain. Canyon X has picked up the slack in a big way, offering 3-hour photography tours rather than the usual 60-minute whip-through clients normally get. So we headed down past signs that shouldn't need to exist and into the darkness of Canyon X. Part of the same system as Lower Antelope Canyon, just higher up.
Okay, so we're inside Canyon X now, and I get asked all the time how you can photograph Antelope Canyon in 2020 because a lot of the photography tours have stopped existing. You can no longer do a photography tour in Lower or Upper Antelope Canyon. There's still 2 places, I believe, that you can do photography tours. Here in Canyon X, it's one of those places. On the photography tours, you're allowed to bring a tripod, you're allowed to bring a bag. There's a max 5 people per group, and you get 3 hours. So you can still find yourself like this right now. I'm totally alone in here. There's other photographers just around the corner, but there is definitely still a way to have places like this to yourself in 2020. From a photo standpoint, I think I got something pretty cool here. Looking almost straight up, and there's this beautiful line of light coming down the canyon, and I'm shooting f11 30 seconds at ISO 100 because it is really dark in here.
Okay. My first image isn't great. And though a lot of people will say things like, it's hard to take a bad photo in Antelope Canyon, it's actually very easy to take a bad photo here. It's dark, and most of the usual rules of composition just aren't obviously easy to follow. You really need to take time to wander and explore. I also find that throwing on the camera's live view and scanning through your camera's eye helps a lot. It lets you see what your camera's gonna see, rather than what you see.
So I haven't moved much in the canyon. I'm kind of working on a shot. The nice thing about these photography tours is you do have that time to just sit on an image and try to figure things out. And so I want to talk really quickly about my composition, things I'm looking for, and my settings. The things I'm looking for, essentially, I'm just looking for lines and patterns and texture, and I'm trying to find ways to use light and shadow. You have a lot of really bright light at the top of the canyon that can be distracting if you let it, but if you use that kind of to lead the eye into the image and into the canyon, it can really work well. So you got a really bright piece of light at the top, and it's leading straight down across the image and kind of working as a leading line up to it or away from it. And then I've also got a polarizer on the front, and I've actually found the polarizer to really be working. With the polarizer off, it kind of leads to like some blue light and some blue glare on the rocks. As soon as I shift the polarizer, it really cuts that out and leaves you with all that red light. So I'm going to show you both the images with the polarizer and without the polarizer.
This is an image straight out of the camera. Definitely better with a polarizer. Now, in my experience in Antelope Canyon, the longer you're here, the better images you get. In fact, if you ever want to see an Instagram feed full of bangers, just ask basically any one of the guides here. And as proof that this place is special, don't be surprised to see your guides, some of whom work here day in and day out, still taking pictures.
I don't know if you'll be able to see me because I'm not smart enough to put out the flip out screen. No, you can't see me. Where can you see me? Step into the light. There's actually 2 canyons in Canyon X, and this is the darker of the 2, and it's quite challenging to photograph, and I'm finding myself shooting up a lot. But I think I've found a really cool photo. There's some light, as you can see in the background, that's leading straight up the canyon wall, and it's showing all this beautiful detail and contrast. And again, polarizer, f11, and I'm on the Canon 15 to 35 millimeter, and this is awesome. I don't know if it's a unique image. I'm sure other people have photographed it. There's not a whole lot of ways you can still be unique in the canyon, but there's still ways to create images that are totally different than other people, or at least slightly different. So this is a cool photo, and I think we're gonna go check out the second canyon now.
The second canyon at Canyon X is just a 5-minute walk through a slightly more open area. In most parts of the world, this alone would be a photo spot. Here though, we march right through it and dive back into the slot canyon. This one's brighter and a little easier to photograph.
And my heart's not the same without you.
I've never liked having a swivel screen more than in Antelope Canyon, because so often you're shooting straight up, and we're over in the second canyon, which is way brighter and has a lot of really beautiful lines. And what I'm kind of doing here, not what I'm kind of doing, what I'm definitely doing here is basically shooting up and using some of these lines that curve on the rock to, I don't know, almost frame the image straight up. And I'm guaranteeing that somebody in the comment section, if I wouldn't mention this, would be asking if I'm bracketing. And I'm not, for the most part. The rest of the images I haven't bracketed at all. Everything's been shot with one exposure. I kind of feel like if it blows out in the sky, it blows out in the sky. That's just how it is. But for this image, I am bracketing. And it's not me saying that bracketing's good or bad or whatever. It's just not my style. And secondly, I'm really bad at Photoshop. So I don't really do it a whole lot, but I am going to do it on this image, I think, just subtly, because I think it needs this beautiful blue sky on the top. And actually, I think we're done here and gonna race over to Horseshoe Bend.
Did I get an iconic, truly unique photo of Antelope Canyon? No. But I'm happy with my photos. It was good to be challenged and put some work into some images. But now, I kind of feel like being a little bit lazy in another iconic photo location.
We're now at one of the most popular photo locations in the entire US, Horseshoe Bend. It's changed. You can't shoot this at sunrise anymore, but you still can, actually, apparently, if you pay a company called Horseshoe Bend Tours. They have entrance in the morning or for Astro or stuff like that. Otherwise, it opens just at sunrise, so you can't shoot sunrise, but you can shoot sunset. So I guess the point I'm trying to make is that if you want to make better photos than other people, you just have to do a little bit extra work and a little bit extra research. Hire a local company, pay for permits to get access early, pay for wild camping permits, stuff like that, and you can get to these classic places. I was talking to the guy at Canyon X Tours, and he said they even do star photography tours now in Canyon X. So do a little bit of research and plan a little ahead, and you can definitely get special, unique images. That being said, the photo I think I'm going to take here is just the classic. I'm not going to be like creative at all.
Horseshoe Bend is gnarly. It's 100 or so feet drop to a certain death. Yet silly tourists still dangle their feet off the edge of the brittle sandstone, and equally silly photographers set the feet of their tripods inches from the rim. But to get that classic image, you have to get close. You should be smart about it, but you need to take a deep breath and set your camera as close to the edge as possible, while being safe about it.
Okay, I'm set up on the edge. I've photographed this spot from this exact spot a bunch of times, but it's always been really, really windy, so I haven't been able to get the tripod this high up. And I also have never had light. It's clear sky again tonight, but I think it's gonna be okay because I'm gonna get a sun star. The sun star, though, is way too far off on the left side of the frame. To do that, I have a Nisi 3-stop reverse grad ND right on the horizon, and that's it. The shutter speed looks like a half a second. I'm going f16 to get that sun star. Hopefully there's not a lot of dust on my lens or sensor, otherwise it'll show a bunch of spots. But I like this spot because even though you got the bend, there's this point out that way, that kind of kicks into it, and it seems to catch a little bit of ring light, which looks really good. So yeah, about 1 more minute and we'll take this photo.
Horseshoe Bend is one of my favorite places for photography. Well, maybe not so much for photography, but to pretend to be taking pictures, but actually people watching. It's so entertaining watching people freak out about the heights. I could photograph this spot year-round and not care if I get a photo. And photographing iconic places is about the experience, more so than the photo itself.
Okay, I think that works actually. And I'm gonna carry this video on to tomorrow morning and kind of like a final tip on how to photograph iconic places or places with a lot of iconic photo spots like here in northern Arizona. And that final tip is photograph one of the billion places other people aren't really photographing. Okay, we're at Coalmine Canyon and it is epic here. But nobody, well, I shouldn't say nobody, very few people shoot this. And you have this massive canyon behind me with all these spires, lots of really colorful rock, a bit of a mix of badland, and I'm out here on a point where it's straight down. And I want to do a selfie or kind of a little person big landscape photo, but it's really hard to get to a spot that's safe and not destructive to nature to do that. So I might just end up with a bit of a classic photo here of the canyon. Light's pretty harsh because there's not a lot of cloud in the sky. So I'm gonna use a grad filter and hopefully come up with something cool here. It is a cool location. I think you can actually probably get better photos here than you can somewhere like Horseshoe Bend.
I carry with me a part of us. There's nothing I could do or have ever done could bring me closer to being known.
Okay, sun's just coming up and making me look beautiful. I'm sure of it. Or as beautiful as I can look. Yeah, I think the photo worked that I first took.
Why it's so hard to sleep.
As I often do, I forgot to outro this video, so I'm gonna do it now. And before I do, special shout out to squarespace.com for sponsoring this video. If you're looking for a place to house your travel photography website portfolio or sell some images, check out squarespace.com/Brendan Vanson and you'll get a discount on your first purchase. Awesome place to house your travel photography, and some of those iconic places can go into your portfolio. And that's kind of what I want to say to end this video is, one, shooting iconic places is totally fine. There's going to be people that are going to judge you. There's going to be people that are going to say, try something new. But everybody's got a different reason for doing photography. And some people kind of like the treasure hunt bucket list aspect of photography, and that's totally fine if that's what your goal is. If your goal is to be totally unique and try totally new things and try to make photos from places other people haven't seen, that's also fine. I'm not going to judge you, and nobody really should judge you. Whatever your goal is for doing photography, do it. Do it for the love of photography, not what other people think. Finally, if you're looking for some non-iconic places in Arizona or southern Utah, there are so many places that you can go to and have all to yourself. So check out some of them. Places like Rainbow Bridge, Alstrom Point, White Pocket, places that we went recently, and then there's literally thousands of other ones. So check out some of those places as well. And I'm going to end this video. The next one coming up is from Sedona. That should be a lot of fun. I will see you guys there. Peace.